to talking about Cress and the fact that they're doing construction outside my apartment. Cress is the third book of the Lunar Chronicles. This continues the story started in Cinder, taken into Scarlet, and now we have Cress. This fairy tale retelling's version of Rapunzel. If you have not read it, you need to go read the first two so I don't spoil you in this video. Once you read it, come back, discuss. It's so good. Goodbye. Goodbye if you don't want to be spoiled. Please leave. So we open on Cress. She is 16 years old and has been living in a satellite for 7 years. She's a lunar shell and is obviously quite lonely. I thought it was so cute. She is a hacker, programmer type of person, and so she programmed the system in her ship to be called Little Cress because she programmed it when she was 10 years old. So her 10-year-old voice is like the sound of the system, and Little Cress calls her big sister. I thought that was really cute. I was like, oh, you made this little companion for yourself. We realize that Cress is associated with Sybil, the thaumaturge. Cress is supposed to be tracking down Cinder from her satellite for Mistress Sybil, but Cress has been claiming that she hasn't been able to find anything. We do get to go back to all of our favorite characters. Wolf is trying to help Cinder learn how to use her abilities by controlling him. Their current plan is to infiltrate Kai and Levana's wedding and put Cinder on TV, claiming to be Princess Celine. Cress is in love with Thorn. Of all the people, she's like a total fangirl. And like apparently Thorn has fan sites. There's like, have y'all met this kid? She has been tracking the Rampion and she's been hiding them. So she has so much like capability over all the satellites and technology of the lunars that she's been able to deflect the view of any lunars from Cinder and Thorn's ship. There is a giant ladder coming towards my window. This is fun. Trying not to make eye contact with the person climbing outside my window right now. Cress considers herself to be a damsel in distress. She's kind of like concocted this romance between them. Wolf and Scarlet are on shaky ground. She's still heartbroken over her grandmother, and she's still kind of scared of him actually. She'll remember those moments where Wolf's like kind of lost it, is about to kill someone, and there's part of her that fears that, which makes sense. I love Aiko as our ship. When Scarlet's talking, like she has a French accent, which I didn't even think about at first, but she does. And then Thorn is like imitating a French accent, and then Aiko herself is like, oui, mademoiselle. And I'm like, I just love it. I love the personality. Wolf kind of sideways admits that he loves Scarlet, and everyone is there. And Aiko kind of like points it out. I love how Cress has like set up her exercise routine and she's like square dancing in her satellite. I think it's so funny. She has such interesting interests. While her square dancing music is on, she gets a call from Mechanic. And then she accepts it, and there's Thorn, like the guy she's in love with. And the first thing that this boy says, is that all hair? And I'm like, Thorn! They talk to her and they realize that they need footage that Cress has. But if she gives it to them, it's gonna be recognized and Mistress Sybil will kill her. So they're gonna come get her out of her satellite prison. Meanwhile, Kai is planning out his marriage/death to Levana. He's talking about the vows. Delete anything that has to do with love, respect, or joy, and I'll sign on the dotted line. But Nancy has been doing some digging. She's Kai's little android, and digs up some information that makes Kai hope that Cinder is finding Princess Celine. We see from Dr. Erlon's point of view, which I really liked. I don't remember this happening in the other books, so getting to see from him was really cool. He is waiting in Africa for Cinder to show up. We find out he made the lunar operative wolves under a different name. I can't believe I didn't connect this. Didn't we see, like at the end of Scarlet? But he's been healing a lot of the people in the town that he's in. He's acting like a doctor for them, and he has let them know that he is looking for lunar shells, he's looking for Cinder, like they know why he's there. He finds a lunar that has letumosis. So it's mutating, which is something that he expected. He's a smart dude, like he understands how this all works, and I feel like for him, he was just like, it is a matter of time before lunars start getting letumosis. Back to Cress, who we find out is like so theatrical. I love it. She often imagines herself as an actress or in these different roles, and she'll tell herself that she is something and like take on that role. She sings opera, which I don't picture coming out of this little like 5'2", 16-year-old girl. But she's waiting for Cinder and the others to show up. Our squad is an hour away when Mistress Sybil shows up, and she sees the message from Mechanic that they're almost there. I'm like, we were so close. Thorn is one of my favorite characters. He's got some of the best lines. He is the Kenji of the Lunar Chronicles. You're asking the cyborg fugitive and the wild animal to be the welcoming committee. That's adorable. And it is. They're such a weird group. When Thorn goes to get Cress off the satellite and he runs into the thaumaturge, he's so witty, but like in the annoying way. So, a lot goes down in those few pages, and our end result, Thorn and Cress are on a satellite plummeting to Earth. Jason, Sybil's guard, shoots Sybil and claims that Cinder is controlling with her mind, but she wasn't. Wolf is shot. Cinder, Wolf, and Jason end up on the Rampion, plus Aiko, obviously. And Scarlet ends up under the control of the thaumaturge, who is now using her as a pilot. The bullet was bad enough that Wolf is dying, and Cinder's like, okay, I guess it's time to go visit Dr. Erlond. Jason can fly the ship, and Cinder is obviously pretty suspicious of him, but Jason says, I serve my princess, no one else. So, like, Cinder assumes he means her. It's a logical assumption, but it's incorrect. If only it were so simple. Thorn and Cress crash to Earth, and then we move to book 2. Luckily, Cress got the parachute to work, but from all the jostling, Thorn is blind. This poor boy. Thorn cuts Cress's hair because it's a necessary item on their to-do list. And now we have this situation of a girl who's been in solitude for 7 years and a blind Thorn. It's a hopeless pair if we've ever seen one. Cress is essentially a useless guide. She has never been to Earth, so when Thorn is trying to get a description of where they are, all Cress is doing is like describing how beautiful the sky is, and that doesn't really narrow things down for Thorn. And Cress realizes her satellite is pretty much useless now, and so is her control system, who was little Cress. And she starts getting kind of upset about it, and Thorn, he is so insensitive. Scarlet did warn me about this. Do we need to bury little Cress before we can move on? Want me to say a few words for her? But then Thorn low-key goes full survivor mode, and he makes shoes for Cress, and all of a sudden I'm like, where was all this knowledge in Scarlet? Like, you were so useless. We get these glimpses of Scarlet being controlled while she's flying Sybil's ship, and I am so upset because Scarlet is so like headstrong to see her being controlled. Like, this is really, really frustrating. Dr. Erlond is my favorite grumpy old man ever. He pinches Cinder to make sure she's real and not a hallucination, because her plan is so stupid. He tells her that she doesn't need to reveal herself to Earthens. She has to convince Luna to accept her. The town that they've ended up in is called Farafra, and it turns out that a lot of Lunars live there. Dr. Erlond tells Cinder that the people are kind of expecting her to assassinate Lavanna. Nancy tells Kai that she believes Cinder has found Princess Celine, and that Princess Celine is Scarlet. Cress confides in Thorn that she is going to die without being kissed. Cress tells Thorn that she thinks she's in love with him, and Thorn, cocky as ever, is like, it took you 2 whole days of losing my touch. And Cress gets like all embarrassed. It's kind of funny because Thorn can't see all these reactions, which is probably good for Cress because she's having a rough time. And when she asks, like, you knew, he's like, that you're lonely and I'm irresistible. And Thorn assures her that she will not die without being kissed, but that she's not going to be dying right now. They luckily run across people in the desert. Thorn says that Cress is his wife, that they're on their honeymoon, that they've been robbed, and then Cress passes out from infection. Scarlet tries to escape from Sybil, and she gets caught, which was gonna happen. There was no way she was actually gonna get out of there. Cress is just in such awe of Thorn. She tells Thorn that he's heroic and relays all these stories stories that she's found about him while researching him. And Thorne is pretty much trying to convince her that he's really not that heroic, he just was able to spin the stories. It's so funny when they're in the hotel. She's singing in the bathtub because that's what she normally does, and Thorne walks in and he can't see her, but she's still so embarrassed. And she's like, I'm not wearing any clothes. No need to rub it in. Thorne! And he tells her that she sings really beautifully and it's really cute. People have started to do fake tattoos and like clothing that makes them look like cyborgs because they're starting to accept Cinder as this like revolutionary. And I mean, it follows the trope, like in Hunger Games, people start wearing mockingjays, they do the braid, and then in Legend, the way people do the red stripe in their hair. When they're in the hotel, Thorne is playing cards with a girl on his lap because he's annoying, and Cress sees and gets really upset. Then she gets locked out of her room, and then one of the people in that caravan that found her is named Gina, and she invites her to go get food with them and then kidnaps her. Fantastic. She's probably as directionally challenged as I am. She has no idea how Earth works. Like, it's just the worst situation. Book 3. Thorne wins the droid at cards. The girl sitting on him was a droid, that they are that human-like. You can't tell the difference. Thorne figures out that Cress has been kidnapped. Thank goodness they're gonna take Cress to Cinder on accident, because I was very concerned at first, and then I realized they're taking her to Dr. Erlon, who's gonna pay for her. So kind of, this was a helpful move. So Cress is in the trunk and she's feeling abandoned. Thorne has hurt her little heart. She's sold to Dr. Erlon. Kai has been doing some digging of his own. He finds Cinder's medical record. The note next to her records from Dr. Erlon is like, finally I have found her. Like, why does no one put 2 and 2 together that Cinder is Celine? Like, the fact that Thorne was in that laboratory and didn't realize, oh, the princess is missing an arm and a leg, and I just happen to be with this cyborg who has a fake arm and leg. Dr. Erlon has literally said, I've found her, and Kai is like, found what? Kai finds out that Cinder was volunteered by her stepmother and realizes kind of cruelty of the cyborg draft for the Letumosis cure. He decides to end the draft. He announces it publicly. It kind of, you know, warms Cinder's heart, and she has this moment of wondering if he did that for her. Kai also realizes that she used the lunar antidote on that little boy because she had missed Peony by just like 2 minutes. But he's also like super conflicted because he doesn't know if his feelings for her are real or fake, because she is a lunar. She can control people's minds, so he's concerned that this crush isn't real. Cinder has a new goal that makes a lot more sense: to delay the wedding so that it'll happen on Luna, so she can get to Luna with like less detection, and then can kind of try to win over the Lunars, because Dr. Erlon has obviously said that's who she needs to be winning the hearts of. Like, Earth already hates Levana. So she needs invites to get into the wedding, and realizes that her stepmother and sister have been invited. Aiko's pissed about that, by the way. I love Aiko and Jason's like back and forth. Jason is like kind of the worst, and when Aiko realizes that Audrey and Pearl have been invited to the wedding, she's like really angry and says that she hopes they spill soy sauce on their dresses. And Jason, who was always annoyed, gets annoyed at this, tells Cinder like, your ship has some pretty messed up priorities. And Aiko is like, Aiko, my name is Aiko. If you don't stop calling me the ship, I'm gonna make all your showers cold. They're like these squabbling little children, and it's hilarious. And then Jason is annoyed with Cinder because he's like, please don't tell me you're stopping this wedding just because you have a crush on Kai. Like, do you actually think you're in love with him? And then Aiko is like, I am madly. It's fantastic. What a great character. We come to realize that Jason means Princess Winter when he says he's loyal to the princess, the stepdaughter of Levana. At that moment, Cinder decides to not reveal that she is Princess Celine. Doesn't view it as wise. Cress, when she's at Dr. Erlon's, she kicks Dr. Erlon. Poor Dr. Erlon, this little old man, and runs away. And she has to hide in the building that she's in because Gina's probably still outside and will just recapture her. Dr. Erlon is Cress's father? Like, what are the odds? And everybody's pretty confused until Thorne finally shows up, recognizes Wolf, who is with Cress, and she's very concerned. Thorne tells Cress, like, did you know you're worth a lot of money on the black market? Unfortunately, Thorne was spotted in his rescue mission, so they have to leave. The android girl that Thorne won is named Darla, and she says that she's Thorne's mistress when Cinder runs into her, and Cinder's just like, excuse me? Also, Darla can't break the law. How did this one end up with Thorn of all people? Wolf comes to. He's been under sedation for a while because the first time he found out about Scarlet, he almost killed Cinder. We tell him again, and he almost kills Cinder again, and then he runs away, and we hear his howling because he's really sad about Scarlet. I feel so bad for Wolf. He's been through enough, right? They end up escaping because the people of the town stand up for them, and it's kind of like this stalemate between the police and the people of the town, and Cinder and her friends walk through and get to their ship. We find out that Scarlet is pretty much a toy for a kid now, except he's sadistic and horrible. He pretty much is torturing Scarlet all the time because he can use his mind powers to do so. Scarlet is brought in to be questioned by Levana, and Levana is trying to punish her by making her cut off her own pinky. Like, we end that scene on her like bringing down the hatchet on her own hand, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Book 4. Dr. Erland can fix Thorn's eyes, except they need a real lab, like the one in the palace. Aiko and Darla have been switched. So Thorn had gotten the android for Aiko, like as a gift, and now she has a body, and it's so cute, and she's so like thankful and just so happy, and I was just like, my heart, little Aiko, she finally is a person the way she freaking should be. Thorn infuriates me, but I love him. What a gem. Cress has all this important info that they're gonna need to infiltrate the wedding. Like, good thing we got this, girl. Cinder goes to Audrey's, lunarly disguised as a palace official, to steal the invites from Audrey and Pearl. Cinder realizes she shouldn't mess with too much, but she kind of presses Audrey to find out what Audrey really thinks about Cinder, and Audrey reveals that she feels a little guilty and realizes that she misunderstood Cinder, but in the end she doesn't care because Cinder wasn't normal. That was really rough for Cinder to hear. She wanted to hear only remorse, and Audrey's just a horrible person. Aiko infiltrates the droids in the palace. She's such a smart little cookie. The way like she maneuvers, and she does it so well. And like the fact that you've never been a human and you're managing all this is amazing. Cress and Wolf have to pretend to be married to get into the wedding. For someone who hasn't seen a man since she was like 9, she's been fake married twice. They do have this cute little moment though, when Wolf says that Scarlet is his alpha, and Cress thinks he means like Alpha Star, like the star that guides the rest of the constellation, and Wolf is kind of like, yes, that is what she is, and it was really sweet. Cinder, Erland, and Thorn are going through the underground tunnel, and Erland is seeming more and more elderly and ill. I was very concerned. I was like, I know that he's kind of old, but I've never really seen like this type of weakness from him. Erland takes Thorn to the labs to get a fix for his eyes. He's talking about Cress, like his daughter, who nobody knows that Cress is his daughter. He tells Thorn, you don't deserve her. There's a lot of revelations like in this time, and Dr. Erland realizes that the plague was lunar biological warfare. He activates the Letomosis outbreak alarm so that the wedding gets stalled. Cress has broken into the security system. Sybil realizes this is Cress's work.
Thaumaturge on the loose! Thaumaturge on the loose! Help!
Cinder darts Priya, the wedding planner, and now she's in Kai's room. And Aiko is there with her, watching this all unfold, and like Cinder and Kai being awkward and uncomfortable and angry, and Aiko is just like, this is so much better than a net drama. Kai doesn't want to go with Cinder. He says that he thinks she manipulated him. She feels like his responsibility is on Earth, so Cinder darts him as well. So unconscious Kai is on the floor, and Cinder's talking to Torin, saying like they found Celine and she has this whole plan, and Torin takes a big leap of faith and tells her that there's a second tracking chip behind Kai's ear. Dr. Erland finishes the solution on Thorn so that he'll be able to get his sight back over time, and then he sees like a suspicious bruise on his hand, and I'm like, because I thought one of our lunar friends was going to get Letomosis, like we had set that up too well, but I had assumed that Dr. Erland was then going to be able to find the cure. He takes a sample of Thorn's blood, like acting very casual, to make sure that he doesn't have Letomosis as well, and he doesn't, thank goodness. Dr. Erland writes out his instructions and his discoveries, and then he puts himself in quarantine to die. The crew arrives, and Dr. Erland, he's on the side, like to him it's a mirror, but Cress is on the other side and he knows this, and he says her full name. Like her full name's Crescent. He calls her his crescent moon, and kind of quickly relays his story about her past. Says that she's his daughter, and he tells her that he loves her, and she doesn't say it back. I understand that Cress just met him, but also I was like, I know you don't know Dr. Erlon, but he really deserves to hear that his daughter loves him. But she doesn't say it back. But they have to leave, like things are gonna fall apart, so they escape that underground lab, and they're blocked from their ship. Wolf gets controlled by Sybil, and he rips Aiko, and he's about to bite Cinder. Why do we keep putting Wolf in situations where he can basically be turned into a weapon? Like, this isn't the first time this has happened. But then Cinder takes control of Sybil's mind. Yeah, like, so, oh, what a moment. But it still looks like they're gonna die. So Thorn turns to Cress, and he's like, I guess it's time, and then kisses her. And then part of me is like, is this really the time? And the other part of me is like, because I love them as a couple. They're just so dysfunctional. Cinder has passed out controlling Sybil. So Thorn is like looking down at passed out Cinder. And is like, maybe Cinder needs to be rebooted. He's like, that happened once before. He opens the hatch behind her head and like clicks her power button. And immediately Cinder is so angry. She's like, don't open my control panel. Cinder has done irreparable damage to Sybil, who has completely lost it. Like, she's unaware of the real world, and she dies. Levana has managed to find Dr. Erland in the labs. He accuses her of biological warfare, and she says she has the antidote, like, in her rooms, and she's not gonna go get it. Instead, she's gonna sit there, watch him die. And he's like, do you think I would take this information to the grave with me? What a comeback. Jason has been captured. He pleads innocent. He calmed Sybil? What the heck? Like, to tell her where he was with the Rampion. You are the worst. And I'm getting the inkling that he's in love with Winter. I guess I'm hoping I'll figure that out in the next book. But that's the vibes I'm getting. Dr. Erlon dies. I'm crying. What are we going to do without him? Honestly, what are we going to do? This man has been behind a lot of what's been going on. Cress feels guilty about not saying I love you. Thorin kind of talks to her about it, talks her through it a little bit, and like, he's very sweet, but I still wanted her to just tell Erlon she loved him just so he could have that peace of mind. And it's really cute when they have like this awkward moment of like, oh, the kiss that we had, was it good? Like, I'm confused. Thorin just kind of is like, the pleasure was all mine. And I was like, oh yes, this is happening. It is now occurring to me that their ship name is Corn. Scarlet is now a pet to Winter, who is crazy, but nice. She doesn't use her lunar gifts, which is why she's kind of losing it. She says she sees blood on the walls, but then she gives candy to Scarlet, which is actually painkiller. It seems like Winter is in love with Jason. I'm guessing this is a thing, and Winter, in theory, is Snow White. Kai wakes up, and Thorn is just sitting there. Welcome aboard the Rampion, your majesticness. Kai is mad at Cinder for obvious reasons. Kai tells Cinder how beautiful her glamour is, so I'm guessing like in that moment at the ball, like it slipped and he really saw it. Cinder tells Kai that she's Princess Celine because apparently she's going to have to reveal this to everyone because no one can freaking figure it out. Kai is interested by Cinder's cyborgness, which is nice because she always feels like that's like such a weird part of her, like the part of her that people wish would just go away. The fact that he's interested in like a way that he's curious, not like awkward. And then Kai is like, Cinder, are you like mind controlling me right now? And she says no, and he's like just checking, and then they kiss, and I was like, yes, finally. Yes! Levana has now attacked the city that helped Cinder escape. Cinder kind of shows a moment of like vulnerability in front of Kai and says that she is so scared of Levana, of all the stuff she's gonna do, but most of all of turning into Levana. And she's afraid she's gonna be a terrible princess. And Kai kind of is very reassuring, and he tells her like, Luna doesn't need a princess, they need a revolutionary, which is such a better title for what Cinder is, and she realizes that. All 6 Earthen countries have declared war, and then Cinder has her I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence moment, and is like, I'm going to Luna and I'm going to start a revolution. And end of book 3. I give it a 4 out of 5. It was really, really good. I love all of our new characters. I think Winter is gonna be an interesting character to get to know. The audiobook was so good, just as a side note. Love hearing the voices, all the accents, it's great. What did you think? Do you think Winter and Jason are gonna be a thing? Let me know, comment, subscribe so we can talk about Winter. My name's Caitlin. Thanks for watching. Bye! to Dr. Erlon and Torin. It is alarming to me that I relate most to the grumpy old men in this book.